Hello everyone and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we are going over Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardon, and we are on chapter 11. Be a control freak. The only people who don't like control are those who don't like to have control and who are misused it in the past. So control versus leadership. This is something that Grant said on it. I don't care about the title. I just care about whether I have power to determine, predict, and influence outcomes. So when Grant was talking about this, he's like, there are a lot of people who have leadership, but they don't have control of the situation. He's like, I never want to be sitting where I don't have control of what the outcome is going to be, or if something does have a problem, I have a way to fix it, or I have the power to go fix it. So there are a lot of people who call themselves leaders but have no control. The willingness to exert control takes courage and influence. It's amazing what you can accomplish once you clear up negative thoughts about control to improve the conditions for those around you. By pushing people to levels they never thought they could achieve, you will do something for them that their parents, teachers, siblings, peers did not. You show them how to make the most of their life and pass on to them your gift of obsession. So those who don't like control are the ones who have the problem. So in other words, those who don't like to make decisions and rely on others to do it for them are at the mercy of their circumstances. So really the control is more about you taking responsibility for what's going to happen. Most people just basically ride the wave and just let it carry them wherever it takes them. And you have to have control of your situation. Otherwise, if you let other people constantly determine where you're going to go, you're never going to get ahead. So only average people refuse to assume control. Control is a good thing, and this is something that's extremely misunderstood, because anytime you've heard people talk about control, it immediately is a negative word. So just because other people try to make it bad doesn't mean it is. The fact is, out of control people have given control a bad name. So remember, what others criticize are the very things they are given up, and the people who complain about control are the same people who refuse to exert control over their environment and then resent their environment. And people who have misused control in the past refuse to take control because they don't trust themselves to use it for the good of others. So the norm is that people are satisfied to have the VP put on their card and then turn down true responsibility because they refuse to exercise control. So when it comes down to it, control is not a bad thing. Being out of control and having no control is an issue. So most people do not believe in themselves, and they can control their environment, their kids, and their finances, time, and results, which brings us to the next part. Don't wait for somebody to give you control. Don't wait for anything to go out of control and shit hits the fan to then decide to make a decision. It is so much better to do these things when you make a plan, decide where you want to go, and then you are like, okay, this is what we need. Now, it's never going to be a straight line. However, if something veers off, if something goes wrong, since you already know where you're heading, it's easier to put yourself back on track. But if you never knew that from the beginning and shit hits the fan and something happens, then you don't know what to do. Like with everything that's going on, we've been shut down for a month. Did you have a plan or a goal set in mind of, okay, this is what needs to get done, this is how much I need to make, this is the goal, and this is what we're going to do? Now, if you didn't have that, you would have no idea what you need to produce, and then you have to figure it out in the middle of everything rather than already knowing. And then you're like, okay, these are the numbers that I can do. I can't meet with people right now, but who can I get on the phone? Are there business cards that I need to get back to from people I met to be like, hey, how are you doing, what's going on, and those are the ways that you can do it. But you have to have that plan first to be able to take control and not wait to the very last minute. So control the process, control the results is basically what that is. And this was a very short chapter, but I did like it. And it was the gist of the chapter of what I got out of it is basically get up off your butt and go do something, and don't let others control what your life is going to be. So with that, Jeff, do you want to give your input about this chapter?
Yep. As soon as I get there, I'm going through the 1,000 emails that I get every morning before I get to the one that I sent myself with my notes.
Yeah.
Team, Maxwell, Iron Planet, Properties, Massage, Living Social.
So guys, while we're waiting on Jeff, we actually do take notes on each chapter. So if you guys would like those notes, I'm going to put the link in the comments below, so that way if you guys would like to subscribe to that, you can, and you could get all of our notes. Ready?
Okay, Sean, what's up? Dave Roeder's here. So, be a control freak, he said. I love control, demand control, lust for control, and make sure I have it. So, why is control such a, positive to Grant Cardon? Well, first of all, if you know anything about personalities, Grant Cardon is a D-type personality. And D-type personalities, their drive and goal is to have control and challenge. So, that leads right up. Like, as soon as I started reading this chapter, I was like, that's a D personality, that's a D personality, that's a D personality. The only people who don't like control are those who don't have control or who have misused it in the past. Who doesn't admire a person that's in control of their life? I think we all look to those people who are like, man, why, everything seems to work out for them. I think a lot of people will kind of more lean towards luck than they will say that person's in control. Oh my gosh, that person's so lucky. Everything they seem to do works out. All the choices they make seem to be, perfect. But a lot of times it's somebody who's in control, has an idea of what they want, and they're going after it. So control versus leadership. He says, I don't care about leadership. I want control, or at least know someone's in control. So, from what I know about John Maxwell, that statement's, a little, what I would call off. And I think it's just a definition thing. Also, leadership is kind of a key word inside of sales, inside of the industry. So I think a lot of times when I hear Grant talk about things, I can tell he's using keywords to basically spark attention, not necessarily to make a point, but that was just kind of my observation of what he was doing. He goes, I don't care about the title. I have the power to determine. So he goes, I have the power to determine and influence the outcome, which is funny because the definition of leadership is influence. So what he's really talking about is influence, but sometimes D's can be irrational. So it is my belief that all true leaders are willing to take control. The willingness to exert control takes courage and confidence, of course. Only average people refuse to assume control. So here's the thing. Most of us have grown up in a way where we don't want the control. And if you look at personality types, 69% of people don't want to be in control. And what I mean by don't want to be in control is the S-type personality does not want to be in control. They are a supporter. They are a, encourager. They like to help out. They like to be part of what's going on. They don't like to be what's going on. So it just makes sense that more and more people don't want that necessary control, but they're looking for somebody who is in control, at work, when there's team activities at church or, wherever you go, well, nobody goes anywhere right now, but you know what I mean. We're going to look back at these videos and be like, what the hell is he talking about? Nobody goes anywhere. We weren't allowed to. So if you refuse control, somebody else will. Most people, Jerry's here. What's up, sir? Most people don't want to be the boss or in control of anything. And again, he's going back to most people don't like even being in control of their own life. And here's the real reason. They just don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to make a decision and then everybody look at them. Because by making a decision and being wrong and everybody looking at them, and they'll feel bad and they'll hurt people, like the average personality, the S-type personality, doesn't want to put themselves in that situation. The C-type personality would have figured it out ahead of time and wouldn't have made that decision to begin with. The I-type personality has no idea that the decision even happened. And if you know some people like that, for sure. David's here. Thomas is here. What's up, sir? Crazy weekend. So you don't have to be given responsibility or promoted into a leadership position to exert control. And John Maxwell talks about that. If you're given a position at work, the position doesn't necessarily create the leadership. The position doesn't create the leadership. The action creates the leadership. What are you doing to make other people's lives better? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So Grant's like, take control of what's going on, make a decision, go in the right direction, help people. That would be a good. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I don't even need to be right. I just need to be in control. So what does this kind of boil down to? When it comes to direct sales, from what I know, at a certain point, you're going to have to take control of your own business. You have to take control of your future and understand that if you want things to happen, you're going to have to be the catalyst. You're going to have to be the person to push yourself. Nobody's going to show up. Jim Rohn says, if you're waiting for somebody to come in and motivate you, he goes, he ran into a lot of people in his life. He's like, these people would sit around and they'd wait for somebody to come in and motivate him. He goes, what happens if they don't show up? He goes, you're just going to sit there and do nothing. That's where a lot of people I find are at in life, is they're just sitting there waiting for somebody to pump them up, waiting for direction, and you're going to have to take control and figure that out. Where does that start? Well, it starts with actually having some kind of a dream, some kind of desire, some kind of a goal, some kind of a mission in life. Some people need a purpose other than existing. Most people's purpose is existing and or getting through the day. They live their life by circumstances, stuff happens, and they're like, well, I just have this stuff happens. Why does this stuff happen? Again, go back to Jim Rohn. He goes, because stuff like that always happens to people like you. And it does, and that's unfortunate, but how do you change it? You change it by setting yourself in a direction. He goes, you can't change direction overnight, but you can't change destination overnight, but you can change direction. Mulaney, how are you? So what does that mean? That means you can point yourself in the right direction and start moving towards it. It doesn't mean you'll end up there in a day. Sometimes this takes a while. So you have to take control of your business. You have to take control of your time. Now, how do you control your time? You control your time by prioritizing. I find that unproductive people do not understand how to control their time. It's one of the major pieces of the success puzzle, is how do you control your time where you get the most done? Well, you have to look at activities, all activities that are going on, and ask yourself, what is the most profitable thing I can be doing? And we're talking about business. What is the most profitable thing I can be doing with my time if I'm going to build my business? And here's what people do. They're like, well, I should create a list. I should contact somebody on Facebook. And then they start scrolling, and they don't really have a defined plan. If you want to be in control, in most cases, you're going to have to force the result you want. Force the result you want. How do you force a result? Well, for instance, if I know I need to present to a certain amount of people, the very first thing I have to do is block the time out that I want to present. And you say, well, what if nobody's available at that time? Then find someone else. So, if I want to present, I'm going to give you an example. I'm presenting to at least 5 people today. Yesterday, what I did is I wrote down the 25 people that could fill in those spaces. Then what I did is I went over my calendar. I was like, what is the available time that I have that I could book these 5 presentations? And I made a list of all the times. I do everything by half-hour increments, because if I'm going to talk to somebody and kind of get through what I need to get through, I block it in half-hour increments. Why? Because it only takes me about 10-15 minutes to explain really what we're doing to a point where they either have interest or they don't. Hey, here's a little bit about what's going on. You either have interest or you don't. If you don't have interest, Great, we just saved a whole bunch of time. I'm not following up. Obviously, there's no reason to follow up with somebody who's not interested. I'm going to give you a quick overview. If you're interested, if you like what we're talking about, I'm going to get you the information. The information's going to clear everything up. It's going to confirm. It's going to validate. And then from there, you can tell me, make a decision one way or another. Tashina's here. Cool. So, book presentations. Force the effort. Let's say I go through those 25 and I don't get anything. Or I only get 2 presentations in and my goal is 5. If I get 2 in and my goal is 5, then what I do is I go back to the drawing board and I was like, okay, let's go through business cards. Let's go through lists. Who else do I need to talk to? And that's where it's funny that I said that. Who else do I need to talk to? Gabby, I was supposed to call you this weekend, and we got crazy busy, so I apologize. That's what we're talking about, is find someone else. You force the effort. If you don't force the effort, if you don't force the result you want, what happens is life has a way of throwing curveballs, and life has a way of circumstances coming up. And that's what most people, well, I was gonna do it, but then this, my excuse was I had 10 million things going on and I totally spaced it. But you were on the list like 3 different times this weekend. I was like, oh, I need to message her, I need to call her. And just didn't happen. So today, I know I have to follow up. Today, I know I put 2 people in the system that I gotta go find out where they went. Because sometimes that happens, glitches in the matrix, I think, is what happens. So I got to go hunt 2 people down in the system, find out where they went, get them placed. I have a 3rd guy that I need to get a hold of because he's supposed to be in the system as well. And then we start dropping the rest of the people in. So control your time, control your focus, what needs to get done, what is the most profitable thing that needs to get done. What will bring you the highest return is how John Maxwell talks about it. And if you don't figure these things out, guess what happens? Not a lot. Not a lot. It's just time passes by. Some of us are getting older. All of us are getting older. But we don't realize we're not getting better. Is that correct? All right. With that is a wrap. So, are you in control of what you're doing? Are you in control of where you're going? The first thing to set is do you even know where you're going? What are the dreams? What are the goals? What is the mission? What is the purpose? What is the vision for where you're headed? If you don't know this, the team that we put together was MVP. Stands for Mission, Vision, Purpose. A mission is basically how you are going to get where you're going. A vision is where you will be at a certain destination in time. Your purpose is why you're doing what you're doing. So that's a little bit about us and what we do, and tomorrow we'll be going over chapter 12. If you do want the notes to this, they're going to be, we'll send you the link, the work with Jeff Gamble. I think it's subscribetome.com. We'll put that in the link, and you put in your email, and then the notes come from the books that we're going over. So appreciate everybody for being on. Anything else?
I believe that's it. Everybody have a good, productive Monday, and we will see you tomorrow. Ooh, goodness.